Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to my video. Welcome to my garage. This video is going to be part one in a series where I'm going to be installing the AEM Infinity standalone ECU. Now what I'm going to try to do on this video series is make this very specific, because I think there's a lot of people out there like myself. I do not have a lot, if barely any, experience with standalone ECUs, so a lot of this right now is over my head. My guess would be that there's a lot of people like me that are kind of interested in this stuff and we want to jump into it, but it's pretty expensive, and so it's a big step to take when you don't really understand how it all works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make this video, I'm not going to call it entry level, but I'm just going to set this video up basically with questions that I would have. Those questions I have already run into. I've gathered the information so that I can answer them, but then I'm going to make a video showing what I've done so far to get that information, so that if you guys are following these video series along, hopefully you'll be taking the same steps that I am, which is going from knowing barely anything until we get to the end where we're actually programming, starting up the engine, and heading to the dyno, getting it tuned, and being the happiest people in the whole wide world. So let's start with the basics here and just do an unboxing. This is the AEM Infinity standalone ECU. Mine is the 506. And when you open up this box, la-ti-da, there you go. There is your ECU, your engine control unit. This is the ECU itself, fairly straightforward, but this is a big brain right here. It comes with two USB extension cables, one for this plug right here. This is the USB that you're going to be plugging your laptop into, and this USB I'm pretty sure you're going to be using for data logging if you need to. This is the AEM 30-5603 display kit. This is the CD5. Now the display kit is just if you want to have a digital dash. You don't have to have this to run the Infinity, but if you don't have it, you won't really have any visibility into your system. I mean, there are other dashes you could run, but this one is made by AEM, so I would think works best with its own product. But this is the CD5. The CD7 is very similar. It's just a little bit bigger. There's not too much on the back here. Mine has the GPS module. This is the main plug where most of your connections are going to be. Then there's also, on mine, there's a coax connection here for the GPS. And then this, much like on the Infinity, is a little mini USB connection. That's where you would connect your laptop. Then it comes with a couple of wiring harness here. This is a wiring harness that you would use to connect power if you were not connecting it to the AEM. There's a lot of different systems that you can hook this up to. For some of those, you'll need direct power, so you would use this. I won't need this because I'm connecting mine directly to the Infinity, and the Infinity is going to supply this with power. This is the main harness. This plug is going to be plugging into the dash. This plug here is the AEM net, so this is basically AEM's communication network. There's a red and a black here, which is where it's getting power from the Infinity to the dash, and then the green and the white is the actual communication. And then there is one other network plug here, and this is for external devices. Like once I set this all up, I can connect another input and output device, and you would connect through this. And then it comes pre-wired with this gray wire, and this gray wire is for a night mode, meaning if you send 12 volts to this wire, then the display goes into a dim mode. And then it comes with this violet wire, purple wire, and they call this beacon, and you use this with the GPS. I'm not 100% how you use that yet, but I think you use it like as a lap timer. You would hit a button that would ground out that purple wire, and that would tell the dash that you just finished a lap and things like that. And then it comes with some more USB extensions, and then mine, because it has the GPS built into it, it comes with a GPS module right here that I'll plug into the coax. So I've got the Infinity ECU, I've got the CD5 digital dash, and then I also bought this 30-3705, and this is what they call a flying lead wiring harness kit, and it's actually sprawled out all over the table right now because I'm prepping this to start my installation into Wratchet here, and so I need to go through and I'm double checking everything. I'm going through and double checking everything. I'm actually scribbling up my own wiring diagram just so that I know exactly where everything is. There is another wiring diagram from the manufacturer, and I'll show you that. I'm actually going to be using that one as my main harness, but I wanted to double check a couple things. But this is actually a really nice harness to get you started. It comes with a plug that's going to, and this is a nice quality Molex plug. This is going to plug into your Infinity ECU. And then it comes with a real nice fuse block. It comes with a nice junction block. This looks like a plug, but it's actually just a junction block tying all these wires together. It comes with one relay for its own power. And if you notice on these things, these are made to slide together because I'll be adding more relays to this, and when I do, I'll just click these all together so they can build a little bit of a relay bank. Same thing with these fuses. This is actually two separate fuse blocks, but they slide together. So I clicked these two together, and then if I wanted to add a third one, I could just click it in there. So you can build onto those. That's pretty nice. It comes with its AEM net, the communication plug. This is what's actually going to plug into my CD5 dash. It comes with this little jumper, which is just meant, it actually comes with, this plug goes into it, and you can see that this is literally just a jumper. And that's for something where hopefully you don't need to use this, but if you jump this out and then you reboot the Infinity, it like forces it into a hard restart or something. I haven't read too much into that. It's got this plug, and I'll be straight up honest with you. I think this is an oxygen sensor maybe, but honestly I don't really know at this point. And then it has flying leads here for accessories, grounds, battery power, things like that. But when this stuff first shows up, you know, when it showed up at my door and you take these boxes and you open them up, it's actually pretty overwhelming because I'll be honest with you, when I was opening this stuff up, I'm like, where do these wires go? How do I plug into this Infinity ECU? How do I do all this stuff? There's like some quick start guides into the boxes with it, but what you need to do, and I'll show you how to do this, you have to go to their website and you have to download the instructions, and you really have to start reading through them. I've been reading through them bit by bit more than once to absorb all of these pieces of information so that I can put this all together. Because at first it kind of like, you're like, holy crap, I spent all this money. How is this going to work? But let me show you how to get the instructions so that before you do anything, you can just start taking a look at those. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is go to aemelectronics.com, and you'll pull up this page right here, and then head on over to instructions, and then go down to download instructions, and this will take you to this page, and all you have to do right here is put in your part number. So the part number for my Infinity 506 is 30-7106. And then you see right here, Infinity Series 5. The second option here is the Infinity Standalone Programmable Management. I like that. So you click on that. And there you go. You've got your Infinity User Guide Manual. This is actually a really good manual. There's a lot of stuff in here. They've done a really good job of putting together a lot of stuff here. And I have barely scratched the surface on here. But I will give you a couple of tips. First, start at the beginning, just go through, register it, do your software. I mean, you won't be able to, like, you can register it, but you can't check your software until you actually have it installed and you're plugging into it. But what I really recommend you do, in the table of contents here, go to wiring. Universal Pinout Infinity Series 5. Okay, this is kind of your roadmap. This is telling you of the 80 pins, if you have the Infinity 5 like I do, you've got one connector and it's got 80 pins. This will tell you for each pin, starting at number 1, basically what it can do, and then it'll give you some notes. So this is extremely helpful in setting up your wiring diagram. So the first thing I did is I printed this out, and I've already scratched all sorts of notes with it. So then get out of there. Now go back here and put in, I'm going to put in my wiring harness, which is the 30-3705. 30-3705. Infinity Series 5 mini harness. That's it. So I'm going to download that, and boom, there I have my mini harness user manual, which is amazing. So I've also been going through this. It explains all of the connectors and whatnot. This is a bit universal. It's for all of their wiring harnesses. So there's some things on here that you don't need, but that is okay. And what I did is I went to the wiring diagram. Here's the harness layout. This is very useful. The schematic. And then it has a pinout here, very similar to the pinout on our ECU. This is basically telling you the pinouts that are on your ECU, the wires that they have already given you, where they connect, and then it also has all of the blanks in here. So what I'm going to be doing what I'm going to be doing with this is writing down all my notes and kind of building my harness off of this. This is incredibly useful information for when you're building your wiring harness. So I wanted to point that out to you guys as to where that is. So again, I also printed this out so that I can kind of carry that around with me. Now let's go back here again and let's pull up my digital dash, which is a 30-5603. And I will have all of these part numbers in the description of this video so that if you want to look this stuff up. And you can see the first thing that pulls up here is the CD5 and the CD7 full manual. And again, you can pull this up and boom, here is the full nice color manual for your dash. And again, just like the ECU, it starts by taking you through a quick start, and then they want you to check the software and a couple of things like that. Right here, it's got your wiring harness if you're connecting this up to the Infinity, and then it just goes on to show you other ways to hook it up to another AEM ECU and OBD2s and just all sorts of things here. So that is where you're going to find your resources for these expensive toys that you just bought. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to actually get power to my ECU so that I can plug my laptop into it. Actually, I want to get power to my ECU and the digital dash so that I can plug into them, and while I'm working on more aspects of it, I want to be able to plug into it with my laptop. I want to be able to use the Infinity Tuner. That's where I'll actually make changes to the ECU. And I want to start building screens and stuff for the display. I know I'm not going to be able to just jump in there and do all that stuff beautifully at first. So I want to be able to start logging into those and just kind of tinkering around with them while I'm working on other parts of the engine. So what I want to do is get this stuff installed and just connect my battery power, my battery ground, and then I need to connect my ignition. Ignition basically tells the ECU to wake up, and then it will, once I do that, once I turn the ignition on, then I can connect to it with my laptop, and the same thing goes for the digital dash. So I haven't done that yet. That's what I'm going to be doing after I finish this video. But before I end this video, let me show you the mounts that I've made to install this stuff into Wratchet, because that might help you guys a little bit. Alright, so I've got my CD5 dash here, and I've already made this mount here. It's real solid, it's welded in there, and what I'm going to eventually end up doing here is making a fiberglass piece that lays over this so that it'll have a nice finished look. But then if I want to get in here, I'll just pull that piece of fiberglass off and all of this stuff will be open. So I've left this all open so that when the dash is actually installed in here, let's do that right now. This is like, I gotta convince my wife to hold this camera for me. Alright, I set the dash up so that when I'm sitting in the seat, I'll be looking at it right through the steering wheel. And I think that's going to be a nice, comfortable way to view it. It's got buttons on the side here, which I'll be able to access. You can make remote buttons if you need to, but I think hitting those will be no problem. But what I was saying is when I take this fiberglass piece off, I'll have real good access to the coax and the USB hookup and my plug right here. So I'll be able to work on all this stuff from up above. The doors on Wratchet here don't open, although I can take the fiberglass panels off. I don't want to have to be doing any work up from underneath the dash. I'm trying to make everything so that I can kind of access it from the top. And then for my ECU, I'm going to set that up behind the passenger seat, right about there. It'll have some standoffs that hold it about 1/4 inch off the carpet here, just so that some air can get through there. But it's just going to sit there like that, and then I'll have my little fuse panel and my little relays down here, and then all of the wiring will come over here, go down through here. Some of it will head towards the dash, and some of it will head towards the engine. I think this will be nice and clean. It'll be real easy to access, and when I have this all done, I think I'll just make a little cover that sits down on top and protects all this stuff. It'll still allow airflow through there. It won't be like an airtight, but it'll keep water from hitting it directly and dirt and rocks from hitting it. But all I'll have to do is take that cover off, and then I'll have nice access to all this stuff. So that's the plan. I'm going to start putting this stuff in place as soon as I'm done with this video. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow I'll actually get some power to the ECU so that I can fire it up. I'm going to have to extend my AEM net cable to reach to the dash, although I ordered some plugs and I ordered the cable for that. So on the next video, when I actually power this stuff up, I'll show you how I extended that comm, and that'll be it. Remember guys, I am making these kind of like a tutorial, which means I'm going to load up the description of this video with part numbers and all that stuff, so that if some of you guys are following along and want to do some of this the same way I am, I'll have part numbers for the dash and the ECU and the wiring harness. I'll put the relays in there, the fuse blocks, anything else that I'm purchasing along the way. For every video, I'll just keep expanding those part numbers so that as we work along, you can just look and take whatever you need and, you know, do whatever you want. So that's it for this video, guys. I'm really excited to get this stuff going, but we're just scratching the surface here. Hopefully in the next video we can actually power it up and see what it looks like on the screen. Aside from that, I hope these videos are helping you with whatever you're working on, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.